Hey there, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scarish Podcast. I'm Robin.
Woo!
I'm interrupted. I'm Robin Grace. This is FTS.
Hello.
And today we're here with more stories to read you folks. Adam, why don't you tell us what kind of stories, what kind of homegrown horrors we read here?
So yes, indeed they are called homegrown horrors, and homegrown horrors are the wonderful stories. I mean, sometimes they're not so wonderful, but the stories that have been sent to us by listeners and viewers that are supernatural, spiritual, coincidental, paranormal, sometimes true crime, sometimes extraterrestrial in nature. For anyone who had a story like that or knew a story from a friend or family member they would like to send us to be read on the show, Robin, where can they send them?
You can send them to our email, storytime@scarish.com, or you can go to our website, scarish.com. There's a contact us page. Fill out that fun stuff, and it gets emailed to us that way. Yeah.
Indeed. So we have 4 that we're going to read. Here's the dealio. Last time we had a story time, we had 2 very, very long emails. One from Lexi and then one from Emily, I think it was. So we didn't finish those out because there were so many. So we still have half of those emails each. So we're both going to finish those. And then we both have 2 other emails we're going to read for a total of 4. So that's how we're going to handle this particular episode. And I believe Robin's going to go first and read one of her stories from one of the newer folks. And then after that, I'll read some stuff. And we'll go from there. All right?
All right.
Everyone hands in. I don't care where you're at right now. If you're listening to us, just put your hand out like you're part of like a huddle and go 1, 2, 3, break. Okay, cool. You look crazy. We're here for it.
All right. So this first story begins. Good evening, my favorite spooky peeps. AKA Robin, Adam, and Spooky Mom.
Good evening.
Plus everyone in the community, because this community is absolutely amazing. I added that in. It wasn't in the email, but I think this community is amazing.
The amazing part she added in.
Yeah.
The writer also said, plus everyone in the community.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I know I still have one story on deck somewhere, but I thought I'd send a different type this time. I think we read the one from last time, so maybe there isn't any more on deck. My grandmother is in her mid-90s and caught me off guard a couple weeks ago with this one, and I thought I'd pass it along to you.
Cool.
I can't even remember how we came about this subject. It just threw me for a loop. So here it is. She said her and my grandfather were driving home one night and she saw an object in the sky ahead of them and wrote it off as a plane. As they turned left onto the conjoining highway, it turned along with them and kept pace.
That's terrifying.
She asked my grandfather if he was seeing what she was, and he confirmed that he was. It moved along with them at the same speed for maybe a mile or 2. I'm estimating here according to landmarks she was mentioning. She said she asked him to stop at their friend's house so she could ask if they could also see this mysterious object, and he said, no way.
We're not stopping.
Probably a hell no. So this thing apparently sped up at some point and hovered over a small hill for a few minutes until they caught up with it, and then in the blink of an eye, it shot off and was miles away, going through a pass in the mountains, lighting it up like nothing she had ever seen.
Light it up.
That's a Fall Out Boy song, if you didn't know. Copyright strike. I don't really know how to explain this in words, because if you don't know the area, it probably won't make sense. I'll do my best, but we'll also include a picture of the exact spot I'm talking about. Imagine a very large mountain with 2 peaks, and in between those 2 peaks is a narrow valley to another town over said mountain. Then imagine being miles away and being able to see the whole valley lit up at night. I would be thoroughly freaked out.
Same.
I would be freaked out too. I remember where I lived, behind our house, there was like these mountains that came together like a valley, and you couldn't see anything on the other side. But when there was lightning storms, you could see it light up that whole area, and it was terrifying at night. So I can't even imagine having this interesting unidentified flying object light up the whole area. So anywho, when they got home, she said they immediately turned on the radio and turned it to a station from the town over the mountain. That part probably makes no sense to some younger people. Oh yeah, tuning the radio into a different radio station. They probably had dials in their car.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They were trying to see if anyone else had seen this. She is adamant that there's no way someone didn't see the pass light up like they did. Nothing was mentioned, and nobody in the community ever brought it up either. This was likely in the 60s or 70s, by the way. I know she didn't make this up on a whim or an old age, because my dad acknowledged hearing this story a lot through the years, and it has never changed. But just in case, I asked her to retell it 2 nights ago, and she told it exactly the same.
You had it written down. You're like checking things off and scratching it out with a red pen. Like, sorry, Grandma, this doesn't add up.
The skeptic in me couldn't help it. I also asked her what it looked like because I was assuming it was lights, and she responded that it was reflective and glowing, not really lights per se. Which to me makes it even creepier. I didn't ask the shape or anything, sorry. So there's my random grandma story of UFOs. Keep on creeping on, my friends. Much love, Q. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's cool that there's a story from the 60s or 70s when that kind of stuff was actually getting reported a lot, right? UFOs, people were seeing a lot of weird stuff in the sky they didn't really understand. I wonder if it was a military thing. And
I always wonder when it's a UFO whether or not it has something to do with the military
Right.
project where you're just not allowed to know anything about it because it's new technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unidentified flying object, it doesn't immediately mean extraterrestrial. I think a lot of our heads jump there because we see stories of these objects that do things that like no known object or like craft could do, like that humans have. But when it comes to stuff like this, it's really odd that no one else noticed it and no one else talked about it, unless they were all freaked out by it. And because it was that era where people were seeing things and being told to keep their mouths shut a lot, it's possible that they're all just like, let's just not bring it up. Like, don't tell anyone about this. Like, let's keep this within the family and make sure that we don't spread this rumor because we don't want like men in black visiting our house and telling us to shut up or flashing a pen in your face and you forget your whole life. So
I would like to not forget my whole life, just parts of it.
Wow. I think I'm going to keep all of my trauma with me because I've worked through most of it and I'm pretty proud of it. Hopefully I'll get an achievement here soon, like an Xbox when you get through, you know, big milestones. So anyways, thank you so much, Q, for sending in that story. And I always want to hear extraterrestrial / UFO stories. So if anyone out there has one, you can send it in anonymously. We will not say who it's from, but we would be happy to hear it and share it on the show if you would like it told. So yeah, good stuff. All right, so I'm going to move into my first story, and my first story is actually going to be a story from someone else as well. And this one comes from our very own Glitchgrim. It says, can use on the pod in the subject, which I appreciate. And it says, this is my friend's story. And it's relatively short. So apparently we're going to get the address of where this takes place, which is 1925 West John Carpenter Freeway. Interesting. So if you toss that into Google, I guess you can understand where this is all taking place. And the story goes like this. I used to work security at that building that used to be a bank and had a daycare with old-timey water fountains. There were a lot of creepy nights patrolling the daycare with the sensation of being watched. My coworkers told me a story about a little girl who drowned in one of those fountains, but I played it off as if unfazed. One night, I could swear this shadowy figure about the size of a child appeared next to me as I was looking out the window for any intruders.
Big nope.
There was no AC in that area because that part of the building had been unused for quite some time, but I distinctly remember feeling cold.
Because it's the go.
I felt the presence walk up next to me without any noise, and I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. Out of sheer terror, I began stuttering, didn't mean to bother you, just doing my job, and quickly walked the hell out of there.
I don't think I could, I don't think I could piece together a sentence after that.
I think I might be able to stutter something out if I knew I was about to run away. Okay, they walked out of there, only looking back as I got to the safety of the dying afternoon light near the entrance. I looked back just in time to see the dark figure with ponytails begin to disappear. From then on, I made it a point to patrol that area during the daytime only. That is fucking creepy.
The thing with security guards, right, is I bet they see the weirdest shit. I bet they see awful things sometimes, like in the middle of the night when you're by yourself and you have to just patrol this huge area, right? I mean, different areas, different sizes, but like I can't imagine working by myself, walking around in the dark. I remember where I used to live in Hawaii, there was a security guard that had to walk around this one shopping center, and he had to like take, I don't know, like a security sensor thing and make sure it like tagged all the areas that he was walking so they could register that he's doing his job, I guess. But I was like, I can't do that. I could never do that by myself in the dark.
It's good to know that they have to tag where they're going, because the urge, if you're walking around by yourself in a bunch of like really dark areas, the urge to sleep might be too great for me. So if you're tagging where you're at all times, that also is a safety precaution, I would imagine.
Is
so,
it? Oh, so they know where
Yeah, in case something were to happen, they'd be like, oh, his last location was here. Let's go try and find him. Sort of stuff. But either way, Glitch, thank you so much. And thank your friend for sending that, or allowing you to send that to us. We appreciate it. And have him listen to the episode.
Yeah.
So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back. All right, so we are back, and I'm going to go ahead and move into my second story and the third story of the show. This one is a continuation of the stories that we had from my cousin that we read last time on Storytime. My cousin Lexi sent in several stories. She numbered them. We went 1 through 6 last time. We're going to read 7, 8, 9, and 10 to wrap up the email. And we'll start out with number 7. It goes like this. As I'm listening to a March episode, it reminded me of a road rage incident with my mom years back. This was the early 90s, and we were driving back from the Cherville area at the intersection by Calumet Cemetery heading back home. This is in Northwest Indiana.
I like that you know how to pronounce these things because I was just like, all right.
I grew up around it. All right, this is Northwest Indiana for those of you who don't know, and if you do know where she's talking about, then this probably gave you better picture in your head of where it's happening. We were in the left turn lane. It was early evening with the setting sun that obscured the stoplight, which had turned green. Due to the sun, we didn't immediately realize it had changed, and the car behind us honked aggressively. Mom threw her hand out the window and flipped him off, then made the left turn. He followed us all the way to the next stoplight, 12 blocks, and continued after we turned. He continued to honk at us and drive up to our ass. Did I mention we had been freaking out this whole time? It was a movie scene. We were able to get in front of other cars to get away from him, zigzagging down the road. He would suddenly turn into a subdivision, and the ordeal was over. Curiosity got the better of us, and a couple days later, we drove through that subdivision, which consisted of 2 long streets and a couple cross streets, and found the car. Turns out we had looked at this house a few years before when we were house hunting. It was also the house of my mom's high school best friend.
What?
As the guy in the car seemed older, we figured it was the best friend's boyfriend, in parentheses, her husband died in the early 80s. Needless to say, Mom and I both refrained from putting our hands out the window to flip off other drivers. We keep it low and in the car.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, road rage, kind of, be careful with. You never know what's going to happen. People still shouldn't follow you regardless of what gestures you toss out. But yeah, also don't do the gestures. I say that. I don't follow those rules at all. I flip people off if they really piss me off, but I don't toss it out too easily. All right, moving on to number 8. Another rage story. I met a friend at her work at South Lake Mall, which again, Northwest Indiana, in our senior year of high school. It was night at around 8 or 9. We were at the lower JCPenney level entrance with a stop sign. I saw Nikki stop, then drive a bit to the left to go up the parking aisle. I was a few seconds behind her when I see this other car come speeding across the lanes. Yep, this idiot was driving perpendicular to where we were driving. Nikki and this other car collided, making it look like Nikki had hit the driver's side of the other car.
Wow.
Good thing I was in a different car, as I was able to give a statement that this other car was in the wrong by how he was driving. Fast forward to 2001, and I was driving in the Walgreens parking lot near my old home in Merrillville. My son was in his car seat, and I was driving up the aisle, and the same situation almost happened. I slammed on the brakes and began yelling at the other driver. There was no accident, but the guy in the other car got out and began yelling at me. Me? What the fuck? I got out and very calmly, although I'm shaking and really want to yell at this guy for driving like an asshole, explained he can't drive like that because it's against the lanes and he could cause an accident, and my son was in the car. I don't even remember what the guy was yelling at me about. My heart was pounding for a long time that day. All right, number 9.
I know that feeling, though, of getting yelled at when it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Because that happened to me in my work parking lot. A guy backed up into my car that was stopped. And he got out of his car and was like, "Did you not see me?" I'm like, "I was stopped. Did you not see me?" He had headphones in and everything. And I was like,
"You're a fucking
hello,
moron,
you
my
just
dude."
hit my car. And then I think he didn't want to, deal with insurance because it's like his fucking fault. And my
Right.
car was old, so I was like, I don't give a fuck. My car is fine.
I don't often get yelled at
but,
when stuff like that happens.
He was like, "Oh, okay, well, it's fine. Yeah, whatever." Like, after he was done, like, getting pissed off, I'm like,
I feel like people's knee-jerk reaction is to blame the other person, but like I haven't been in a lot of situations like that, knock on wood. And in a few of the situations where something has happened where I had to get out of my car to confront people, I have not been yelled at. I've been apologized to vehemently, like that dude who opened his door. We're in a parking lot at a gas station that had a McDonald's connected to it. And they told us, like, oh, yeah, just park out front and we'll bring you the food. So we're like, okay, cool. We park. Some dude, like, hauls ass into the parking spot right next to us, leaving not a lot of space between my door and his door because I was sitting on the passenger side, opens his door to run inside and smashes his car door into the side of our car. And we had, like, just bought it. I was like, is this motherfucker serious? And he runs inside. So I just got out. I'm like, I know where his car is. I got out. He comes back out and he just sees me standing there and he fucking freezes. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now, man? Like, my car has a scratch on it because you opened your door and bashed into it. He was just like, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
But I got this warm food. I gotta get out of here.
And I got like, and there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm not going to beat the shit out of him. I'm not going to call the cops. I'm not going to make a thing of it. But just like hearing him say sorry and most importantly, seeing the fear in his eyes. I was like, all right, you're dismissed. You can go. I really wanted to open my car door and just smash it into his stupid shitty van. But it's like, it would just hurt my car door more. So, all right. Anyways, let's get back to the story. Number 9. This is the last story for now.
He adds that.
No, it says for now. I just read it that way. Hope you all have been enjoying them. This happened to me while driving to work one morning. I can't begin to explain this situation. My work hours used to be slightly off of the others at the plant. I have to explain the area first. There was a peat moss plant at the start of the road with an old National Guard building followed by a couple more businesses and roads, mostly open area with trees about where the fencing was. The area I worked in Kingsbury I don't know where this is, by the way, was a 3+ mile stretch of road that was used in late World War II for munition storage. The trains would stop at the buildings, which were on both sides of the road, but the left side had the most businesses in present day. The right side of the road had more of the dilapidated buildings, great for urbex, which is apparently urban exploration. On the left side of the road, there were 7... He wasn't even being an asshole. That's just how loud it is. All right. On the left side of the road, there were 7 rows of buildings, with each row having 6 buildings, some buildings being rehabbed for businesses. The company I worked for rented 5 buildings in 2 rows. This area still has live munitions past where I worked. It can be creepy at night. There were mumblings of freaky stuff happening, but nothing specific. On this particular day, it was a sunny morning with a couple clouds. As I was driving to the plant, I could see the big, fluffy, white-gray clouds in the sky that were essentially in line with the road. The sun was behind the clouds, so they looked highlighted from behind, but in a soft, glowing way. What I saw next was incredible. Inside the clouds was something that looked like a huge metal aircraft.
Aliens!
It was too low to the ground to be a normal aircraft. I seriously did a double take twice. I think that's called a quadruple take. I really thought I was seeing things. It looked like an elongated bowler hat with a smaller one on either side. I could see the squares of metal and rivets. I shook my head in case I was imagining it, but it was still there. High up in the center section was a porthole. The whole aircraft looked as if it was hovering within the cloud. I never slowed driving, so I was getting closer, and it seemed to stay where it was. There was no sound at all. I rolled down the window to check. One could argue it was the reflection of the sun off the clouds, but the way the clouds were over the road and the trees along the road sort of met in the middle like a canopy. There was no sun reflection in the clouds to create this image. As I approached the tree line, the metal craft began to retreat into the cloud, almost indiscernible, but retreated then disappeared within the cloud. This is the first time I've mentioned it.
Wow.
That is terrifying and creepy. Also, the second extraterrestrial story we've had tonight. Interesting. Yeah. Well, unidentified flying object, I guess. Number 10 is kind of toss away, but I also enjoy it. Number 10. By the way, I have a niece named Dragon. Legit on the birth certificate.
Their name is Dragon.
That is pretty fucking awesome.
Their name is Dragon. And not like Aragon or like a name dragon. Of a dragon.
It's pretty badass.
Dragon.
No, don't say Rock the Dragon.
Why?
Because it's their niece.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Anyways, love you guys. Keep on creeping on, Lexi. All right, Lexi, thank you so much for sending us in Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking badass. Unless you're in the Wheel of Time world, in which case that's a bad name to have.
Imagine your kid in elementary school, right? They're going through the list of names for all the freaking kids, and they're like, Dragon? Is there a dragon here?
And you're just like, oh! Well, it was more like a pterodactyl, maybe. But I mean, they're little. They got to get their roar.
It's so cute. Oh my gosh. I would dress them up as a different dragon every year.
Wow. By the time they got older, they changed their name because they hated it so much if you did that to them. But either way, Lexi, thank you so much for sending us your stories. I sincerely appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. And thank you one last time.
All right. So this next email, it's the next half of Emily's email from a couple episodes ago. But this particular story is called Filament in Bulbs. So the filament in light bulbs is the thing that produces the light. When light bulbs bust or blow, it's the thing you can hear shaking around in the glass. We were having a cookout, and again, this is one of my mom's stories. She went into the bathroom and heard a slight tink noise, almost as if you were lightly tapping a spoon on a glass. She flipped the lights on and looked in the mirror. It was then that all 5 light bulbs blew. Not just blew, they exploded.
Holy shit.
Like something from a horror movie. It was one at a time. She didn't notice until she brought her friend in to show him, and he said that is almost impossible because all 5 of the filaments were intact. He said they should have separated. So the bulbs exploded.
The glass casing, the vacuum,
yes,
exploded, but the filaments, which is the most delicate part, remained intact.
Shortly after, we started sleeping in my mom's bed. All right, so the next story is called Glass Shatter with Bible. Also, there was no Bible in our hotel room the last time we stayed.
Gideon hadn't gotten there yet.
My brother and I liked when my mom read to us, and we found comfort in her reading us the Bible for some reassurance. One night, my mom was reading us verses. My brother and I were scared, and the spirit, which I believe now to be a demon, would touch us. So she read 1 John chapter 5, verses 18 through 12. And that verse...
18 through 21.
Oh, yep, 18 through 21. That is dyslexia right there.
I say, they're not reading backwards. Like, that's kind of weird. My mom read the Bible backwards to us.
It is a demon. No, yeah, that's some dyslexia right there. We know that everyone who has been born of God does not keep on sinning, but he who is born of God protects him, and the evil one does not touch him. It was then when she told us we would be saved because the devil can scare us. The devil can make bad things happen in our life, but he cannot touch us as long as we believe in God. It was at that time another tink, tink, tink was heard, and as soon as we were quiet, the glass of water my mom had sitting behind her bed exploded. Yes, exploded. She told us that she had dropped it coming up the stairs, but years later told us she had no idea why it exploded. She had that
snipers. It's fucking crazy.
We had the house blessed again by the same people, and they told us the small hallway between my brother and I's room was a portal with high readings.
You had the house blessed again, which means I think they owe you a fucking refund, dog. Like, that's just if glasses are exploding in that house.
Well, they should be like, here, this one's on the house.
Yeah.
Literally. We later moved out of the house and to a town
that was a good joke. Holy shit. Pause. That was a good joke. Literally on the house.
Yeah.
That was good. Solid.
Thank you for interrupting for that.
Absolutely. You need to be appreciated.
Thanks. We later moved out to... Fuck. See, you made me fuck up now. We later moved out of the house and to a town about 30 minutes away. My grandfather re-rented the house out to another family, and when visiting his house, my brother and I were told not to tell the kids about what we had experienced. We promised, but after only a month, that family had packed up and moved to Michigan without notice. About a year ago, I was telling these stories to a girl we adopted during quarantine, as she is easily scared, and I thought it would be funny.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I decided to Google search the house to do a virtual tour, since it is empty again, to give her a visual of where things happen. When you Google the address, nothing pops up. It's as if the house doesn't exist. When you Google Earth, the address is nothing. I located my grandfather's address because he lived next door and took the cursor down the street. What I saw was so shocking. I won't tell you what I saw, so you're completely unbiased and can draw the conclusion of for yourself. Now I want to know.
How are we going to do that?
I don't know. Sorry, this was so long. I hope it was worth it. I love your podcast and listen to them in the background, driving, cleaning, or if I just need a good scare. I have more stories of the other houses I've lived in if you're interested. Interesting.
Absolutely. I feel like we're supposed to get an address along with this.
Yeah, there might have been an address in the beginning. But yeah. That is absolutely terrifying. I really want to know what happened to the house. I wonder if it's just like decrepit and just messed up, like no one lives there, or it's a parking lot, or it's like a Smith's now or something. Or where's this? They said someone moved to Michigan. Maybe it's like a Ralph's Or no, Ralph's is
I think
West
they have
Coast.
Kroger. I don't think they
Kroger?
have Ralph's.
I don't know. When I
Ralph's
lived in
small.
Texas, it was Kroger. I don't know what it is over there. It's an Aldi.
All right. So a lot of speculation there from Robin. But yeah, thank you so much for sending that in. We appreciate it. And we'll reach back out to you and see what we were supposed to draw our own conclusions from at the end of that. Good stuff. So I want to thank everyone who sent in their emails. We sincerely appreciate you sending in those stories for us to share. If you have a story you would like to share with us, you can email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com. Click on Contact Us. You can fill out that form. It comes directly to us. Also, if you have something you want to send us, because folks have asked us before, we've gotten stuff in our P.O. Box. That is the same spot, scarish.com. Click on Contact Us, where you can find our P.O. Box, which we pay for. So it exists if any of you are wondering, because several of you have inquired. If you want to reach out to us on our social medias, Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod, and Instagram is @scarishpodcast. We look forward to hearing from you however you would prefer to reach out to us. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. At $1, you get ad-free, which is amazing. If you're not into the monthly donation type thing, you can also go to ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. Those are one-time donations. And all your donations go to helping support the podcast. Help us make more merch. Help us keep on creeping on.
Yep. Indeed. Help us keep All right. And that's everything we have for this episode of Storytime. So, Robin, why don't you go ahead and sign us out?
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.